Hi, welcome to the channel. Today we will cover AWS Glue from the basic. We will talk about what is AWS Glue with high level architecture. Then we will cover components of AWS Glue under three different areas. In the discover and organizing data, we will have AWS Glue Data Catalog and we will cover AWS Glue crawlers and AWS Glue connections. Under transform data, we will talk about AWS Glue jobs and build and monitor data pipelines. We will talk about AWS Glue Triggers. And this is going to be a hands-on course, so you will need to have access to the AWS console. If you don't have the access to AWS console at the moment, please go ahead and sign up for it. Okay, what is AWS Glue? It's fully managed serverless ETL service from AWS. AWS Glue consolidates major data integration capabilities into a single service like data discovery, data cataloging, ETL job, and orchestration. It's a distributed ETL engine for and it's highly scalable. Okay, on the architecture diagram, the core of AWS Glue is a data catalog which consists of databases, tables, connections, settings, etc. And data catalog can be accessed from AWS console. AWS job, which consists of a script, moves data from the data sources into a data targets, which can be scheduled using the trigger. So why AWS Glue? So AWS Glue is a serverless data integration service that makes data preparation simple, discovers and connects to over 70 plus various data sources, and it maintains the metadata in the centralized repository, which is AWS Glue Data Catalog, and we can visually create, run, and monitor the ETL pipelines. So if you are looking for a data movement and data processing solution within AWS without having to maintain the underlying infrastructure, then AWS Glue is the one to look at. Okay, let us talk about AWS Glue Data Catalog in bit more detail. As we touched upon earlier, it is a persistent technical metadata stored in the AWS cloud, consists of databases, tables, connections, etc. It's fully managed service. We will be able to have only one Glue catalog per account per AWS region. Will not be able to create more than one data catalog. And IAM policies define the access to the catalog items such as databases, tables, and the underlying data sources and target. So now let's take a look at the hierarchy of the catalog items. Right? Let's say catalog, which is sitting on the top. Under the catalog, we can create multiple databases. Here you can see database 1 and database 2. And within each database, we can have multiple tables. For instance, under database 1, we have tables 1 and table 2, and similarly under database 2 as well. Now let us take a look at definition of these database and tables. So database is basically a logical grouping of the Glue catalog tables. And table itself a representation of the data set, right? Basically contains information about the columns and associated data types and descriptions, etc. So to remember, the table is more logical, right? We are not creating this table physically within the AWS Glue catalog. It's just a representation of the data set which is residing elsewhere. Okay, now let's go ahead and create a sample database and create some tables underneath. For that, let's focus few moments on setting up the S3 directories and uploading some sample files. I'm navigating to the S3. On the top, I'll search for S3 service and open it in a new tab. Okay, under which I have one bucket existing already. I'm going to use this for the demo purpose. Okay, let us create a couple of folders under the bucket for our demo purpose. First folder, let us name it as data, where we will be uploading our data sets. And another folder, let's name it as temp hyphen glue. Hit create. This temp hyphen glue directory, we will be supplying it as a parameter when we create the glue job later. This will be used by glue to store the temporary files which will get produced when we run the glue job. And another folder, we'll name it as scripts. Hit create. The scripts folder will be used by AWS Glue to store the script. Okay, let us go ahead and upload our datasets. I'm navigating to the folder data, under which let's create another folder. Let's name it as sale database. Hit create. Let's get into sale underscore database and then upload the files. So there are two files, department underscore CSV and sales underscore CSV. We will be using it for our demo purpose. I'm selecting both of the files and hit upload. Okay, both got uploaded successfully. Let's close this window. As a next step, let us create an IAM role, which will be required for AWS Glue to read the dataset. Let us navigate to IAM from the search bar, right click and open it in the new tab. Okay, let's navigate to the roles, hit create role. So we want another AWS service to use this. Select the AWS services option. And from here, let us search for Glue. Select Glue, click Next, and we have to select the policies from here. For this demo purpose, I'm going to select admin policy, but this is really a bad practice, right? In real world situations, we will not, provide admin access to this Glue role, but for all learning purposes, to keep things simple, I'm going ahead and providing this administrator access policy to the role which we are creating. Hit next and give a role name, glue demo role, and let's leave rest default and hit create role. Okay, and again we are back into the role section. Let's just search whatever we created is appearing here. Glue demo role. Yeah, we get to see the role we just created. Okay, now let us look at how to create Glue Catalog database and table. I'm on AWS console homepage. Let us navigate to AWS Glue from the search bar. Open it in the new tab. So on this page, what you get to see on the left side are all the menus, right? On the top, the very frequently used items are appearing. Followed by we have the data catalog section within which we have databases, tables, and stream schema registries. This is specifically used for the streaming data, which is beyond the scope of today's discussion. And we have schemas, connections, crawlers, we will be talking about in a bit, and then catalog settings. The catalog settings, we have options to encrypt the metadata, also encrypt the connection password. Let us navigate to databases sections and see how to create the one. On here, we have an option to add database. Hit on it, and here we have to provide the name of the database and location where the data resides and an optional description about it. Let us create a sales database. Location, though it is optional, uh, we can have data sitting in multiple locations and that can be grouped under a same database. So I'm leaving it as open for now. Okay, then let's go ahead and create the database. Okay, so we have our first database created for the Glue catalog. Now let us see how to create tables. Navigate to the tables section. So currently we don't have any tables. There are a couple of ways we can create tables. One, just hit on add table and go ahead and manually define it. And another way that we can use the crawler and get that created. So we uploaded two different files, right? Department and the sales. So one we will create it manually and other one we will create it using crawler. So the structure of the department file is here. It contains department ID, which is of a small int, and next column department name, it's of a text. So let us go ahead and manually create table for this file definition. So I'm on AWS Glue Catalog table section. Hit add table, provide a name of the table, then select the database where this table has to reside. And if the database doesn't exist already, we can go ahead and create it from the options here as well. And I'm leaving the description default for now. And we have to select the data store, right, where the data lives. We have different options to go with. We'll go with S3 here. And the data resides within our account. And select the path where the data resides. So point to note, we can't select a specific file here. It should be a folder. So just make sure if we have multiple files wherein we wanted to create different tables, make sure they reside within a different folder, not within the same folder. Let's go ahead and browse. Select our bucket within which we contain data and select sales database and department. And this is a folder we want to associate with. And we should provide last the end of it. Done. And the data format going to be CSV and delimiter is comma. Next. So define our upload schema. There is an option, or we can select from the schema registry. So schema registry is not applicable for us, and go with define or upload a schema. So we will go ahead and add the columns manually. Hit add. So column 1 is department ID of type small int. I'm leaving comment blank for now. Save it and hit add once again. Name the column of string type. Hit save. Yeah, we are done. For now, we are leaving this partition indexes option default. We are not defining any of those, right? So click next. So here review and create. We get to see the table name, database name, and then the definition of the columns and hit create. Got it. So we have the department table created manually. So before we go ahead and create the AWS Glue Catalog table using crawler, let us look at what this AWS Glue crawler really is. Right? It is a program to automate the data catalog table creation and maintenance. Right? It basically connects to the data sources we specify, and it scans the data and extracts the schema details from the inference and creates the table definition in the AWS Glue catalog using the details extract. Right, let's go ahead and see how to use the AWS Glue crawler to create the Glue catalog table. I'm on AWS Glue catalog, click on the table section and hit add tables using crawler option. Provide a name to the crawler, crawler underscore sales underscore CSV. I'm leaving description blank for now and hit next. And is your data already mapped to a glue table? No, we have not yet mapped. So select this option. And next step, we have to add the data source for this table. Hit add data source. Data source going to be S3 for us. There are different options we can choose from JDBC, DynamoDB, etc. Now let's go with S3. And for network connection, not selecting anything for now. It's optional. So location of the S3 data resides within this account, and let us select the path where the data resides. Browse, navigate to our bucket under data folder, sales database. We have the sales folder where we have the sales CSV available, right? Select this folder, choose, and it should end with the slash as well. And there are options we can choose from, crawl all subfolders or crawl new subfolders only, and so on and so forth. I'll go with crawl all subfolders, though we don't have any subfolder at the moment. And in case if it is contain really a large volume of files, we can say to scan only the samples, right? By checking this. If you want to exclude anything from the crawler scan, we can also say that, right? Exclude files matching pattern. Check this and provide the pattern. That also works. But for now, we will leave these things default and add an S3 database. Right, it's done and hit next. So we have to provide an IAM role here. Let's choose the one which we created some time back. That's glue demo role. And rest of the things I'm leaving it default. Hit next. So let us select the database where this table has to go and sit. Sales database. And I'm not applying any table prefixes for now. And crawler schedule for now will keep it on demand. Go next and quick review. Go ahead and hit create crawler. Okay, we have our crawler created. We can run it from here. Let's navigate to the crawler section and see whether our crawler is appearing. Yeah, it is here. Just choose this crawler and hit run from here. It's a starting crawler. Probably it will take a minute or two to complete. I'll pause the video here and we'll come back once the crawler run is complete. Okay, hit refresh. Yeah, our crawler run is succeeded. Table should have been created. Says table changed one created. So now let's navigate to the table section. Yeah, we get to see the sales table as well, right? Created. Let's click on sales. And here we get to see the schema, right? So order number, all these columns have been inferred from the CSV file we have on the S3 bucket. Along with that, data type has been identified based on the data available in the source file, and the table definition has been created in the Glue catalog under tables, which is great. So now let us look at querying these two tables using AWS Athena. So we did not talk anything about Athena. Quickly, using AWS Athena, we'll be able to query the data available in S3. Okay, I'm on AWS Athena page. Let's hit launch query editor. So if this is going to be very first time the query editor is being used, we'll have to do a small setting to make it work. Navigate to the settings page. We'll have to specify location of our query result, right? So this is a place Athena will be using it to store the query result, right? I have already given the temp glue folder which we created some time back, so I'm not making any change for now. Okay, let's come back to the editor. So on the left side, we get to see the data source details, right? Data source is AWS Data Catalog, under which we have the option to choose databases. So for now, we only have one database that's selected by default. So two tables which we created, part of our exercise is appearing here, right? Department table and sales table. This department table was created manually, and sales table we used AWS Glue crawler to create it. Okay, so let's go ahead and query the sales table and see the data. Let's select preview table. So here we go. We have the data from the CSV file listed. So there is no data movement. Data still resides within the S3 where we stored our sales.csv file, and we are able to query it using Athena. For that, the definition is coming, or metadata is coming from the AWS Glue Catalog. Okay, let us see what AWS Glue connections are. So they used to store login credentials or URI string VPC informations for specific connections. And these connections are used by Glue crawlers and the AWS Glue job to access some types of data store. Now let us take a look at how to create the Glue connections quickly. I'm on AWS Glue page. Let's navigate to connections. So under which the connections area, I already have one sample connection available. Otherwise, let's see how to create the one new. Hit create connection and provide a name to it, and connection type we can choose from various options, right? JDBC, and it supports a lot of other Amazon services as well, like RDS, Redshift, DocumentDB, etc. And then we'll have to provide the JDBC URL and the driver class name, etc. And then create a connection. So once it's created, how will it be really useful, right? So let's say we want to connect to Redshift, right? So we go ahead and create a connection over here, and we can attach the connection to the Glue ETL job. So then we can refer that connection in our script, so that Glue will be able to read or write from Redshift using this connection. So we are not really creating the one for now, but I have already created one. Let's take a look at what information it has, right? Sales DB underscore connection. Click on it. So I have connection type, that's JDBC, connection URL that comes from the AWS RDS, referring to MySQL database, and then the username, subnet, and associated security groups, and so on and so forth. So typically, this is we can relate this to a database connection we make in any of the querying tools. Okay, let us understand AWS Glue job. So it basically contains the business logic required to perform the extract, transform, and load operations, contains data sources, associated transformations, and the target. And these jobs can be scheduled using triggers or by external schedulers. So let's get in and create our first AWS Glue job. I'm on AWS Glue console under data integration and ETL. Let's navigate to ETL job. So at the moment, we don't have any jobs. So there are multiple ways we can author it, right? One through visual ETL, or we can directly get into the scripting as well. For now, we'll say visual with the source and target, right? With the template, and source is going to be S3. The target is also going to be S3. In case if you want to change it, there are multiple options we can choose from. For now, I'll go with source S3 as well as target as S3, right? Hit create. So this opens the job editor like this. So let's first name our job, sales ETL process. Then let's navigate to the job details, right? The name is already pre-populated. Description, I'm leaving it blank for now. Let us choose the IAM role, which has access to our source and target S3 buckets, which we created some time back. It's a Glue demo role. And then type, I'm leaving it to Spark. Rest, kind of, just going with what's pre-populated, Glue version, language, and worker type. And then requested number of workers. By default, it is populated as 10. We wouldn't need 10 for our demo purpose. Let's reduce that to 2. The minimum quantity we can go with is 2. So I'm going with that. And generate job insights, that's fine. Let it be. And job timeout, that's default. And navigate to the advanced properties. And the script name, let it be unchanged. And where we want the script to be stored in our S3 bucket. So if you remember, we created a folder to store the glue scripts. Let's navigate and choose that folder. Here it is, choose. And then job metrics, let it be, I disable the Spark UI, we don't need it. And then the temporary path, which we created some time back. Let's go ahead and choose that folder, glue temp. And rest, I'm leaving it unchanged. Let's now navigate to the virtual pane, click the source, and name is going to be S3 bucket, let it be. And our data source resides within the S3 location. Let's go ahead and browse for it. Data, sales database, sales, and select the CSV file. And data format is CSV, comma separated. And first line of source file contains column headers. That's true. Let's say in per schema. So now we are able to see the columns available in the CSV file. Now let's navigate to the target, leave the name by default, and format we want to create Parquet, and compression type I'll leave it default, and location, let's go ahead and choose. Within our bucket, navigate to data, sales database, have created an output folder. Let me choose this. And I'll add name of this target file, sales underscore Parquet, and it should end with class. And then rest of the options I'm leaving it default. So if you go to the transform option, so here you will get to see the source and target. If you want to drop some of the columns, we can go ahead and drop it. For now, I'm leaving it as default, right? Okay, now let's hit save. Okay, it is successfully saved. Let us give a run. Okay, job has been successfully started. Probably it will take a minute or two to complete. I'll pause the video now. We'll resume when it is done. Okay, now the job has been succeeded. Let us navigate to the S3 bucket and see whether we have the output files generated. Okay, we are in our bucket. Let's navigate to the output folder. Here we go. Sales underscore parquet. This was the file name we have given. It's created. Let's go underneath. Yeah, there is one pod file created here. Okay, so the job was success. So we successfully read the CSV file and created a parquet out of it. Let us see how to create the glue triggers. So I'm on the glue console. Let's navigate to the data integration and ETL under which we can find triggers. So hit add trigger, give a name, trigger underscore sales underscore ETL, leaving description blank. So there are three types of triggers. One, we can trigger it on demand, or we can schedule it. And third, we can trigger the a job based on the glue job or the another crawler event. Okay, so for now, let's go ahead with schedule. So here we can select the frequency, whether we want to run it daily, weekly, monthly, or we can go for custom schedule as well. For now, I'll just select daily, and we can give a timing, right? Every day we want to run it at 10 p.m. 22, and then put 00. This is in the UTC. Right, and click next. And what is the job we want to run for this trigger event, right? Add a target resource and choose a resource type. It's job and job name. We have only one job, which is sales ETL process. And for now, I'm not, altering any of these parameter section. Just say add. Right, and go next and quick review and hit create. Right, so our trigger has been created successfully. If you navigate to the trigger section, so we see this, it's scheduled, right? One job, which is going to run at 10 p.m. every day UTC. So in case if you want to run another job on successful completion of this job, how do we achieve it using the triggers? Let's take an example, right? Let's create another trigger. Let's give sales job 2 as a name, and type is going to be based on the job or a crawler event, and based on any of the watch job, right? Go ahead and add a watch resource, choose a type, it's going to be a job, and select the job, sales ETL process. Status going to be, let's say, succeeded, right? And go ahead and next. So what job we want to run? So at the moment we don't have another job to select. Otherwise, right? Let's say if you have two or more jobs, and if you want to run in sequence based on the condition of another job, and this is how we can go ahead and create the triggers for them. Okay, thanks for staying along. So we have covered all of the topics what we wanted to cover in this call. So as a next step, we will be deep diving on the AWS Glue jobs. Stay tuned. Thank you.